Hi everyone, episode 79 of Coffee and Chel. In today's episode, we bring on Zazzi, one of the best players in MLB The Show, to discuss something that has become more and more prevalent, especially in the NHL video game. And he talks about that because he is a NHL player as well. So this episode is going to start with our interview with Zazzi. And then after that, we get into everything hockey Ultimate Team with myself and Padre. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome into episode 79 of Coffee and Chel. We have Zazzi here from the LB community with me and Sleevesy. We're going to try something new this week. Sleevesy wants me to kind of take the reins of the hosting, and he can kind of sit back and maybe do a little bit of sleeping while we do the episode because he's catching up on his sleep. He hasn't had much sleep lately, right, Sleevesy?
Hell yeah, brother. I'm on dad hours. I don't sleep. I'm living on hopes and dreams, dude. You're taking the reins on this one. You're the conductor of this train.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring on Zazzi. I wanted to bring on like an MLB guy, and I watched Zazzi stream a decent amount. He just actually won the Tampa Bay Rays LAN tournament, which it was the first LAN, right, for all of MLB ever, right?
Yep. Yeah, and it was amazing, man. Every bit of it was just amazing, from production to people involved to everything, man. It was one of the coolest experiences I'll ever be a part of.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of it. I was obviously pulling for you because I watch you, and I know that the guy you're playing is kind of a, I guess you want to call him like a Brad Marchand of the MLB community.
He is colorful.
He is very interesting, Baco. But yeah, it was really cool, and it was really funny because I like that it was in, I guess, your guys' form of versus, which is like MLB teams.
Yep.
And there was a guy on the bench you kept using. His name was like, what was his name? Like Renee something.
Pinto.
Yeah, and you just raked with him.
Yep.
Just absolutely destroyed it with him.
Did you? Yo, let me ask you this, because you brought up a good point that you're using versus teams, like you're playing versus as the Rays. Well,
yeah.
Would you guys have preferred it to be like like Diamond Dynasty, but like restricted?
There was goods and bads to both of it. I love restrictions for competitive gameplay. I think that's necessary because it just creates so much of a bigger skill gap. But at times, the way MLB stadiums play in the game is not always the way we want online play to be. So, there's a lot of what is a perfect swing, which is the best swing you can take, doesn't always leave, which can be very infuriating when you're playing at the top level with money on the line. But, it was such a unique tournament, and I think that's what made it so special.
Yeah, Sleevesy over here? He's a veteran in the NHL community when it comes to broadcasting. He's actually done a few tournaments down there at that. What is it? Full Sail?
Yeah.
So what did you think of the setup? Because obviously, this is the first LAN. Like, was it everything you thought of? And when you walked in, were you just like, holy cow! Like, I can't believe I'm playing a video game. Like, just like on a stage and stuff. It's crazy, huh?
I wish they had a camera of me as soon as I walked into that place, man. Like, my jaw was on the floor from start to finish. Just the lights, the setup, the cameras, they had even turf on where we were sitting, man. Like, dude, they put every small detail into it. Dude, it was gorgeous.
I think my favorite part of the stream was like the fans in quotations in the background. They were just going nuts with like the thunder sticks and everything, and they were chanting. Like, so who were those people? Were they like your actual friends, or
people, weren't they?
Yeah.
So the one guy on my side who I think got panned to the camera quite a few times was my dad. My dad came with us to this tournament.
That's cool.
Along with the rest of them were college students that were watching this event and learning from it because they're part of Full Sail as well. So for them, it was a really cool learning experience. And yeah, my dad went crazy in the stands, but man, it was so cool.
That's awesome. Cool. So you said before we hopped on, your dad's kind of a gamer himself, so he was probably really excited for you.
Oh, he was so excited, and to bring him with me on what I would consider my business trip, as being along with a few of his before, was a kind of a surreal moment for me to bring him along and have him experience that as well with me.
That's pretty cool, because like I feel like, at least from my standpoint, maybe Sleazy too, like we grew up in like the era with our age, we're a lot older than you, where it's like our parents were like, oh, video games are stupid, like you're wasting your time, like go outside or go play sports or whatever.
I love bringing my dad to play. It's my favorite thing. I brought him to the last two like world championship finals, like in Nashville. It was the last one, and it was it's always my favorite part. When I have a question about like MLB esports. So I think that like I'm like every year I play for about 4 months, and it's like my favorite. It's my favorite game for the first like few months of the year during the summer. The one thing I notice is that like its competitive scene is like lags behind all other sports games, even NHL, which is wild to say because NHL is usually the last of the four sports when it comes to anything. But What do you think? Did they take steps this year? Are you more optimistic, pessimistic?
That's a big question. All right. I will say that definitely steps forward with the LAN event. I don't want to poo-poo the company too much, but SDS, not a huge company, right? EA is a lot bigger. So they don't have the funds, they don't have the resources as much, but overall their comp scene stays the same every year. So there's not really a lot of additions. So we need other companies, other groups, other teams to be involved in this stuff. The Rays took this all on by themselves. This was completely separate of SDS. They did it without their support for most of it.
That's wild.
Which is absolutely wild, and we can get into that a little bit later if we want. But no, that's what we need, man. Is other teams getting involved, other companies, other sponsors, because this was over $100,000 that the Rays put into this to put this together. So, yeah, it's a lot, and it's been very stale for the last few years of just treading along with the same thing. And I think you need new things, different things, more tournaments, different styles, and that hasn't really been implemented yet. So, yeah, good on the Rays for putting this on, but I mean, we can only hope for next year, but it definitely needs a step forward from maybe even another company to really get it rolling.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I follow pretty closely. I know Sleazy does too. That's like my second favorite game, and it comes out at like the perfect time.
It comes at the
NHL...
perfect time for NHL players.
Yeah.
Like,
the NHL kind of died. I mean, I'll be honest, NHL dies like earlier and earlier. It seems like every year, but it realistically dies like when GWC kind of like when people start getting knocked out of GWC. So for my case, it'd be like March or April. And so, yeah, I started playing that game, and I love that game, and it's so funny because like I'll play that game, and the complaints I have are just so different than the ones that you guys have. But it's the same thing probably like when you play NHL, you probably complain about different stuff than I complain about. So it's just because you're so competitive and you're so like detailed with it. So like one of the main reasons why I told Sleazy like I want to bring you on was we have this big. I think it's a big issue. It's not the game's fault. I've learned that, I guess, but all these different games are playing differently amongst the top guys. And like even some of my friends that are casuals, my real life buddies that are just like, hey, I'm playing on PlayStation, I feel delayed, hey, I feel slow, I feel sluggish. It's become a real thing where I legitimately think it's in every game now, at least every sports game. I've heard Madden, I've heard MLB for sure, and now NHL, where literally the PlayStation plays more sluggish or delayed and the Xbox is more responsive. And I know you're a PlayStation guy for MLB during the Diamond Dynasty year because of the tournaments, right? But I know a lot of the guys the previous year switched to Xbox because of I think it's 120 HZ thing or whatever, and it plays quicker or something like that. So they kind of stayed on there. Kyle, I know him, and Ochev, they kind of went to Xbox and they stayed there, but then they have to come back for the tournaments. It's a lot like NHL. So do you feel on your end it's such a responsive game? I mean, you're hitting on Legend, your PCI is the size of a pea, and I think it's the hardest sports game to literally be good at an elite level or a really good level, I guess.
Top, yeah.
So what do you feel about that? Am I crazy on this or what?
Not at all. I bought an Xbox about 2 months ago now. I'd played PS my whole
an X
life,
or
whatever.
Series, like an S or X?
Whichever the high version is.
Okay, yeah.
And so it was noticeable when I first bought it. Like I was like, okay, this is smoother for sure. Yeah. But it took me till I came home from college and hopped on my PS again for the weekend. And there's a noticeable, especially in MLB specifically, a noticeable like frame difference. I can't put exactly into words because I'm not that technical with understanding that stuff. But there's a smoothness on Xbox that you just don't get on PS for some reason. Especially playing Legends, the ball that when it's released feels like it jumps from the hand to about halfway on PS, where Xbox it just feels so smooth out of the hand. And it sounds like a small difference, but I personally have been hitting 30 plus points higher on Legend, which is a big difference. I've gone from about like a 410 hitter to around 440, 450. So for me, that's a huge difference. And I think it's just the consistency level of always feeling like you don't take swings or you don't have times where you go, why did I miss that? Or where did that come from? Why did that feel like it jumped on me? It's just not that. So there's a smoothness on Xbox. I don't know what it is, but I would play Xbox on 60 hertz over PS on 120.
That's wild. Okay. You just noticed it this year, right?
Yeah, that's only come, I would say, yeah, within the start of this year was really the big jump. Last year it wasn't even a conversation, but this year we've had people being discredited for being an Xbox player as a top player. Like people will genuinely say like you will not be a top player on PS, or there's people I'm gonna throw out a name, and this is for some of the MLB guys who are maybe more in tune with the community. People use Alex Kill as an example, and no disrespect to Alex, I think he's one of the best players in the world. But there was a noticeable difference between him on Xbox and him on PS, and it's insane that people can really discredit you during, depending on your console because of how skilled people are. But there is just that much of a gap, and I don't know, with things being only PS, maybe it should be only Xbox because of how well it plays or
so
what. But
because all the competitive things that MLB does are basically PlayStation, and that makes sense because they're owned by Sony. Still, right? They're still owned by Sony, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Like, how do you prepare for that then? Because if the biggest competitions that you guys have are on PlayStation, but it plays way worse on PlayStation, what do you do next year? Like, what would you plan to do next year?
Typically, they announce tournaments within a week or two, so I'm gonna just as soon as I hear about a tournament, I'll switch back, try and adjust to it. It's not the most impossible adjustment, but for me, like, I'd come back for the weekend, so it was 2 days. And those 2 days I played like absolute crap. I won't lie to you. And it's just that skippiness. It's just not consistent at all. And I never realized that playing PS every day, it was never a worry of mine. But since I had switched to a better console, you start to understand that, like, that skippiness is a big deal, and especially in a game where you have milliseconds to make that decision. And it's gonna be just like, as soon as any tournament time gets around, you just got to get back on PS and play it. And unfortunately, people don't have the money to have 2 consoles. I mean, it's an expensive thing in a bad economy right now. So
it's so funny.
If you're fortunate enough, you're fortunate enough.
Right, and that's the issue that I feel bad for people because that's been one of the crutches that, whether it's NHL or EA Sports, like, why they still make NHL on old gen, right? And like MLB's weeding it out for sure, they said, and we don't even know what the capability of these new consoles truly is because they've been having to make the game for old gen. And the luxury that you have, at least on MLB, and I did it myself, was you could hop back and forth from Xbox to PlayStation all you want because they have that capability. Where NHL, you're kind of just, your hands are tied, you know what I mean? You can't move it back and forth, because I know a bunch of top NHL guys, just like you, like young guys, really good, can win our big tournament, which is GWC, like easily uninstall, throw a few names out there. Even Regs has talked about it, moving back over to Xbox, and they've already dropped $500+ on their HUT teams. And it's, you're kind of just like, well, I mean, either I get to a certain point and then I get screwed over because I feel like I'm better than this guy, but I'm playing at a disadvantage, like you said. I mean, and people, it sounds like we're talking about excuses or crutches here. I mean, this is just, like I said, like, I want to bring a guy on that has nothing to do with it. I mean, he plays NHL, but he has nothing to do with, like, the nerdiness.
He gets 12 wins. That's something.
Yeah, but he just, it's just a different perspective, and he can actually relate to it. And it's like, I asked a few Madden guys and I could even try to get one of them to come on. I talked to Kiv, and he's on that Madden, whatever it's called, like the championship series, and he said the same thing. So it's just very strange. And what's funny is, like, I like my PlayStation better. Like, the Xbox is fine. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, I like it. It's, but I actually like my PlayStation better. Like, I like the interface. I like the controller better. It doesn't hurt my finger as much. Like, it's a shame. And yeah, it's crazy that that's an actual thing. And like Sleazy said, like, the way to prepare for it, I guess, is just you kind of just suck it up for most of the year, or you just, you play Xbox all year. And yeah.
Has SDS ever addressed it or mentioned it?
They haven't. The only small detail on Xbox that's maybe a disadvantage is that players with dreads, for whatever reason, seem to get lag.
This. Yes.
Wait, what?
You get lag. So, Ellie De La Cruz, who's one of the most popular cards in the game, and Jose Ramirez, of course, Sleeves, we talked about him earlier.
Yeah, Jose rocks.
When they hit the ball, for whatever reason, and somewhere within the swing timing to when they hit the ball, the game, like, genuinely freezes up for about a half second. I don't know why. It's only players with dreads. Andrew McCutcheon also falls into that category. It's so weird, but it's only on
wild.
Xbox.
Isn't that crazy?
And like, that's like a big thing, like, from the top end of the community. It's so funny because like, Jose Ramirez is like always like such a smooth swinging card. That's so funny.
Yep. No, it's real. I remember hearing about this, and I was like, "Is this a joke?" And they're like, "No, this is a real thing." Like, but when you play the game every day, like these guys do, and especially if you're hopping back and forth, you notice this stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Especially like you said, like everybody used that Ellie De La Cruz. So it's But I mean, in a game like that where everything's like milliseconds, I mean, it's nuts. Like I said, I don't blame these gaming companies for this. It's clearly a console thing. It's just I just wish, like you said, I know they have deals with PlayStation, Sony, whatever, but it's, maybe for the betterment of the community, if there's a way they can make it on Xbox. I mean, I don't know, or just everyone's stuck on PlayStation. I guess I don't know.
We'll get you out of here on this. So you've been playing NHL this year. Have you enjoyed? This has been a drastic change. The biggest change in gameplay we've had since probably the defensive skill stick being added in like NHL 18. Do you enjoy like the full pressure meter and all that stuff, or are you not liking it?
I don't mind it. I'm a big Ishel goalie guy.
Okay.
So I play a lot of Tendy. That's between Hut and Tendy. That's about the two places you can find me. But there was at the start of the year, I really didn't enjoy it, and I think they made a lot of good changes, and I like that they've been relatively like communicating on that stuff. Overall, I think most of the changes have been really good. I don't like that the Michigan is a one button thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that it was a unique thing last year that only a few people could do, and now it's.
That's what I said. See, Sleazy, I like that. I understand it's their back of the box feature, but I think it's cool when like only a handful of dudes in the world that could do it, like real life hockey.
Sure, man. They backed themselves in the corner with it because they made it something that they tried to sell the game on. And when 4 people can do it, like you can't, like it's just not gonna work. No, it's funny. It's funny hearing, like, also the tether system. Like as a goalie this year, is that brutal for you?
Okay, the tether system. This is gonna. I'm gonna have a little bit of an opinion on this one.
Okay.
I saw that they're adding back the old controls.
Yep.
And
as of tomorrow.
The tether system, I hated. Okay, I hated it at the start of the year. I played Polgs in a EA Play test game, and I was like, I'm not playing goalie this year. That's it. I've seen enough.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's probably not one you want to go up against. I mean,
not at all. But genuinely, I hated it. I've gotten used to it. I still don't like it, but I might stick with it. And I saw that they're adding hug the post button. That's my one hitch. Is that no matter what, I get stuck on the post all the time, and it drives me mad. Honestly, the tether system bails me out a ton because I can sit in the middle a lot, especially on cross creases, and I'll just get locked into an animation for a save. So I didn't like it. The changes that they're making sounds like I'm going to actually want to stick with it, though, in the end.
It's funny. So, I have the same feeling about Total Control. I hated Total Control, like during the beta and the technical test and everything like that. I hated it. I forced myself to play with it for like 10 hours, and now I like it way more than Skill Stick.
Are you still grinding MLB right now? Like, do you play both, or do you just stick? Yeah, how do you do that? Like,
since NHL's come out, I've played MLB probably twice.
I've
had
so
about
funny. It's the exact opposite.
It's the same way. Like, we get burnt out, and we're like, I was sitting there thinking, like, I watched some of those MLB dudes that like that's like their actual job, like that's all they do. Yeah. And I'm like, man, that has to be rough making content like through the whole winter, and then back up to March. I was just more so curious. So last thing, we'll get you out of here. Canadian kid, play hockey growing up or no?
I did play hockey. I played hockey until, I don't know, about grade 9 for me. And then I started playing higher level baseball. So I went through the winter and I was like, I got to let hockey go. But I always love hockey, man. I played NHL before I played MLB. And
awesome.
I'm always going to be involved.
Who's your favorite team, too?
I'm a Leafs fan. I'm a Leafs fan. It's painful, sometimes embarrassing, but still a Leafs fan, man.
Buddy. That's awesome, man. Well, appreciate you jumping on, and thanks again, dude. And hopefully we'll talk to you throughout the season.
Of course, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
So it was cool talking with Zazzi. Again, he's one of the better players in the MLB competitive scene. And again, he brought up we wanted to have him on because you were on this just witch hunt for the consoles playing separately. If you play, I would love all levels of input here. I fully agree. That the games play different, especially with PS5. I didn't think it was a thing on PlayStation 4. Thought it was in a lot of people's heads until Ben Ross literally said it. Like so that's a whole other story. But the PlayStation, I don't know what it is about new gen.
Mm-hmm.
It is the worst technical performing console I've ever. I've been playing video games my whole life. And every time there's a new gen, it's like this crazy new gaming experience. And I don't know if it's because as I got older, I just got a really sick PC. And, not everyone gets to experience that, like a really jacked up PC at like the high end. But man, PS5 and Xbox, I think the Xbox One was such a bad console compared to PS4 that like I have this like really negative connotation with Xbox Series X. But PS5 is dog shit. Like I can't stand the controllers. I can't stand the size of the thing. Like it just is not very good. And then NHL these last 2 years have had such a delay that I have to play wired, and it's just nuts, man. It sucks. I don't know what they do. I remember when everyone bitched about going to dedicated servers. And that was like when I first started making content. It was like that was all everyone complained about. It was like GM Connected. It was before everyone complained about GM Connected. It was like, just give us dedicated servers, and then they did that, and unfortunately, that was like sounds like it should be a good thing, but people like even like when Ben was developer, Ben Ross was the gameplay developer. I remember talking to him about it. He's like, the way that you play Call of Duty and things like that is so much different than a sports game, and especially NHL, because there is a lot more input and speed in NHL than there is in any other sports game.
Like, yeah, it's just so finicky. I noticed it the most in the weirdest spots, which is when you get close to the goalie and you're trying to go like backhand, forehand real quick. Yes. I notice and I'm not this bad at the game yet. Okay, I like run into the goalie all the time on PlayStation, and I'm like. Yeah,
I noticed that's like it eats me alive. I'm not the greatest at breaking out. It's probably the thing I'm worst at, and like even with a slight delay, it's even harder. And it's brutal, man. I can't handle like that's what I noticed the most. But the craziest thing, and for everyone that has a PS5, to make sure that you don't think we're insane, I want you to take a wireless controller. I want you to leave it on the hut menu for 15 minutes. Walk away, do whatever. Don't let it go to sleep. Just leave it on. Come back and just go left and right in the menu. And you'll be like, what the hell? It's wild. Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's only in NHL that I notice it. But it's massively delayed. Like it's, and then on Xbox, the gameplay just feels different. Like it's just, it's weird. And the main problem is cross console is such a good thing for NHL. We're seeing it with the market. Yeah. Like, the market right now on next gen or current gen is sick because there's like 20,000 cards, right? It's great. But the problem is that it should fix the player base too. The problem is that PlayStation people, in my opinion, have to turn off. If you're in Division 1 and 2, like, it's really hard to play with cross-console on. Yeah. Because the people you match up against, I've said this before, like, Division 1 and 2 in HUT is a different game than 3 all the way down. Like, you're playing a completely different game. It's not just end-to-end rushes. You're basically holding on to the puck for forever, looking for the same goals. It sucks. But when you play like with a delay on it, it's brutal, man. So
no, I turn it off after like the first few games, and I'm like I could notice it just being better. I wouldn't even say it's like perfect by any means, but it's. And then I played, like I said, I went over and I played a few Xbox games, and it's significantly smoother. I still probably, if I ever did go to Xbox again like I used to, I'd probably actually use a PlayStation controller. Like I know Junior Pens does that, and use an adapter just because I hate the sticks on Xbox because of the little bumps around it. It just tears up my finger, and I'm like, dude, I don't even play that much, and my fingers get torn up.
It sucks, yeah.
It's awful. But well, obviously we had the big event last Friday. And you were popping off, as I like to call you. The leader of the directory was dominating.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about? Okay, yeah.
We had the Proto 2 events, which was kind of cool. And I think it's actually really smart. I heard you say that the other day on stream, and I agreed with you. It was a smart idea. We had the prototype event and the fantasy hockey event. The fantasy hockey event, as everyone knows, is probably like I think it's their best event. Maybe, I guess, team of the year for, the specialty of it. But the fantasy hockey's fun. And it brings in the real-life game, like the real-life hockey with the game. And what did you think of, I guess, the whole launch of everything, like at the same time, I guess?
So like I mentioned that the reason why I think it was really smart is because the biggest takeaway from the fantasy hockey event is that like the majority, I would say like 80% of the community can't do anything with it because they can't give away a free one because these cards are priced at, if they hit 99. Like they're priced at 500K, and like a free to play, like a dad from Iowa is Womack. If Womack hopped in, he's not going to be able to afford one of these. And so, like, it's just a boring event. Like, it sucks. And if it's 2 weeks long, a 2-week event where you can't engage, like, sucks for the community. So them putting in an event with it was really smart because they gave you a way to get a free prototype Master Set player. So while they still can't really compete, and then you use those cards to get the, a major discount. I think if you do all the objectives for the fantasy hockey event, you get 24 fantasy hockey collectibles. So you need 12, which works out to about 200K, which is a lot more palatable to make a master set player item. The choices. Okay, the reason why the fantasy hockey event's my favorite personally is because you get to flex like your knowledge of hockey. Like, you know, you have to make your calls on it. It's very difficult. I find that this year is like last year. The choices in week 1, I went back and looked, were awful, and everyone thought none of them would hit 99, and it turned out quite a few of them did. But like out of the master set players, okay, who do you think has the best shot at hitting 99?
So we got what? Sandine, Doughty, Suzuki, Zegras, and Hurdle. I feel like Hurdle, because of the, you know, like the number 1 power play, number 1 center. I can also see Suzuki because of like Caulfield wasn't even
That's
like
the
there
thing,
last
year. He had 26 goals last year, I think.
Right.
But it was without Caulfield.
Mm-hmm.
Which might sound dumb, but like Suzuki's not shooting those pucks if they're on the ice together. It's Caulfield that's going to do it. So that one I'm curious about too.
Yeah, and like Hurdle, I texted you earlier about them updating his height to 6'3" now, which makes it even more enticing to get
card.
He's end game, especially with 99, like for sure. And me and you have talked about, you know, do you just get the X factor? And
yeah, let's talk about that, because they chose 4 of the MSPs are X factor cards, and it's like. Everyone originally saw that, I was like, this is such a dumb idea. Like, it makes no sense, because those players, like, if you were a fan of that team, like the Sharks, let's say, like, I have 2 of the same player from like a big event, right? So, but I kind of like it from like an insurance policy standpoint. What do you think, as someone who's free to play as well?
The more I thought about it, yeah, and like it makes someone like me, where as much as I understand I can get 24 collectibles, like you were saying, it's still like a grind, and it's a lot of times. Especially since I don't play like squad battles and all that stuff, I just play HUT chance pretty much, and I play like silver rivals, if that. And yeah, I would like to use the Hurdle now because of that. It's a height increase. I think he's going to be really freaking good, and I think he will score at least 25.
I think that no matter what, he'll hit 20. I got to do a battle with somebody on Reddit, because I tweeted out that, like, you know, they let us see the card that day. They sent me, Henrique, and Thrash just like an image to like tweet out. Some people thought that I picked Hurdle, which is just asinine, because, like, again, I don't want to use the same.
Because my tweet.
Yeah, I was like, oh, dude, there was people on Reddit that thought you leaked Binnington.
I know. I literally was like joking around.
Is not one. It'd be so funny if he was, but people actually thought that you leaked Binnington.
I need to go on Reddit. I didn't know these people are this crazy on there.
But anyways, like, so it's funny because like over the years I've gotten roasted senseless, but there's a lot more people that like I just like interacting with on Reddit. But anyways, so I tweeted out, like, here's Hurdle. I'm like, easy 30 goals, which maybe was a bit of an overstatement, because he's only hit 30 twice in his career, but one was 2 years ago. But like I'm like one of only 10 people that watches every Sharks game. Like, it is, I kid you not, I am an Ice Dogs fan, and they won 11 games last year. And they play a more, like, interesting game than the Sharks do. Dude, I think they lose 70. I legitimately think that they lose 70 games. They are getting caved in. However, the only time now, I think out of necessity, is that I think out of necessity, they put Eklund with Hurdle. And those are the only 2 people on the team that can do anything creatively offensive. Eklund, thank God, looks like a real NHLer. Whether he puts up 60, 70 points is, you know, he might just be a 50-point player, but he looks like someone who's actually offensive created. Like, Hurdle is on the ice 20, 25 minutes, and he gets the full 2 minutes on the power play. And like Hoffman and Granlund aren't eating up like shots. Like, they're all going to go to Hurdle, and the way that he plays, he's got a good shot, and he sits in front of the net. Like,
yeah,
I think that no matter what, he's going to get 20 goals, which would mean that he's a 92. And a 92 at 6'3" with goal unstoppable force, you can still get away with.
Right.
And
that's what I was wondering too. If like the unstoppable force I was texting you about earlier, I was like, I wonder if this is effective because of the hip checks and all the hits. And I feel like they are going to tune some of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, not to say they're going to like completely like nerf it, but I think there's a lot of like outcry. Especially, I know a bunch of Sixes guys. They're kind of complaining a lot about the hip checks because it just kind of turns into like NHL hits.
Yeah.
I didn't know what you think about. Well, actually, we'll get into that in a few minutes about what's the best like ability so far that we both I guess think. The guys that were the non MSPs, I think there's a lot of like good choices. I think
Byram.
Yes, I think Zaka.
Yep.
I even think Lafreniere. I think Dawson Mercer. I think Shea Theodore, Matty Beniers. I mean, I think there's a bunch.
They'll get to 99.
I think they will.
Oh man.
I think I know Petro's skating today, but Theodore, like theoretically, he should be running their power play, all the time. I don't know. Like,
do they do two defensemen on their power play?
They do.
That's the problem.
They do one. They do one.
The Avalanche, they do one defenseman. So Byram's on the second power play unit.
Yeah.
But that team is so fast and good that like I just feel like.
Right, and he's like not. It's not crazy for him to hit 99. I don't think Sean Dursey, I think, could hit 99 too. Because
so do I, man. Arizona, you got to see firsthand. You were at the game where they shit on the Blues.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think they might be. I don't know. Maybe it's just like I think it might be just like the lack of like veterans. Maybe that will hurt them in the long run. Yeah. But in terms of like young firepower with like Cooley and St. Louis and Clayton Keller,
they remind me of New Jersey 2 years ago.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. I really hope everything works out there because it's like that's the 5th biggest city in America, and they need a hockey team, and they need to get it back to like when we were kids when that whole place was buzzing. I do like your theory on Radek Bonk's kid Oliver. How OHL defense or just I guess CHL defensemen in general, like they're just snapping it in there every chance they get.
Like I went back and watched my video. I made it when I was in Vegas, so I was like, dude, the audio is so scuffed. If you go back and watch my NHL 23 one, but because I was like, man, I wonder. I know on stream that I told people about Minchikov all last year just because I got to see him play. And in my video, I'm like, man, I think he's going to hit 99. And everyone sees an OHLer or like a European player, and they just kind of roll their eyes because he's not an NHLer. The problem with Bonk, so I've seen him, the Ice Dogs opened up a home and home to start the year against the Ice Dogs. And London is by far the best team. Like, they are probably going to win the Memorial Cup. They are, like, out of the CHL is 60 teams in the 3 leagues, and they are, like, consensus number 1. They have a ton of NHL drafted players as well as, like, players that will be drafted. But so when I watched him, dude, he didn't get off the ice, and he must have taken like 10 shots on net, but like he doesn't have a lot of shots on goal. But like I watched him, like he must defensemen they'll fire it into 50 bodies. Like it's different. But the only thing I think that might be hindering him now is they're 11 games into the season. Mm-hmm. This is my thing about him hitting 99. They started him too low, I think. So he's already 11 games in, which means they only play 68 games. So he's got 57 more games to go because the playoffs won't count. And Sam Dickinson, who's probably going to go top 5, maybe top 4 in the draft, like his one-timer is like NHL ready. And like he takes a lot of the power play shots. It's a very weird dynamic. Minchikov, the reason why he was such a good call was just because he was the only one on Ottawa last year. So like everything went through him. London has so many NHLers. I still think it's safe, and he's big with shutdown. But it might not be the same as Minchikov. But I still think that he'll get into the 90s for sure.
Yeah, I like a lot of the selections. I like the one that you were talking about too with Iafallo, just because I heard you say the same thing, and I kind of agree with you at least so far. I just like all the pieces they got back for Dubois in that trade.
You convinced me. You convinced me that Winnipeg. I think that LA messed up by not getting Hellebuck instead of getting Dubois.
Yeah,
their goal. If they would have switched that, if they just would have traded for Hellebuck instead of Dubois, they'd probably be in a lot better spot because their goaltending is just an absolute mess. Which looked like that was the problem going in. It looked like that.
Right. The one that if I could take any of them, I think I'd take Zaka just because of the size.
It's funny. I saw that too. I think for a competitive player, it makes sense, and he's got like all the opportunity in the world.
Dude, how about this is not video game, sorry guys, but Boston, what in the world? They just don't lose.
Well, yeah, okay, hang on. So, I mean, they pooped on the Sharks, like they beat the Sharks.
Yeah, I know, but
no, they got outplayed, and like they started on the West Coast trip, and the West Coast trip is not what it used to be. I'm curious when they go back and they've got to do a thing where it's like they got to play New Jersey, then Toronto, and then I'm curious because I think it's a bit of a facade because they've looked really bad. Against the Sharks outplayed them. It's just that the Sharks are so bad that
I watched most of the LA game because I'm pretty good buddies with Trent Frederick's brother, and I love Trent too. But I was watching that game. He got in a fight, and it was pretty good. It was actually pretty good when they have like a funny mic'd up thing with him. Boston did, but no, like I agree. I mean, like yeah, like the Ducks are soft, Sharks are soft, Kings I guess were like the one tough game. I don't know. It's just what impresses me. It's not so much like I think Boston's going to be like as good as they were last year. I don't even think they're going to like win the division. Honestly, it's just the fact that like all the new blood that came in and like
it's
old blood
crazy.
that went out. It's crazy. It's just a lot of big change where you're like, oh, they're going to struggle because you know they have so much change. And I thought like they would have came out of the gates I guess a little slower. But
if you had to pick, because this is the question I keep getting, you have to pick 3 people from week 1 that you're most confident in hitting 99.
Okay. I'll go Dersey.
Okay, I like that call.
And NHLers or see everything?
No, of the whole list.
Okay, of the whole list. That I'll take. Well, I guess you just said that you don't think Blanca will actually.
Yeah, I think he'll get 90, but I don't know about 99.
I'm gonna go Lucas Raymond too.
Okay.
And then I think I'm gonna go Lafreniere, even though I do like Shea Theodore. I think I'm gonna go Lafreniere just because I think they're really pushing him to.
Those are your 3 like most confident?
Yes.
Who are your 3 of the NHL guys least confident?
Well, I'll go with the one that I watch all the time, which is the St. Louis Blues, and that's Justin Falk. And that's because they have Krug running the power play, and Falk doesn't. He only gets like 20 seconds on the second unit, and he's kind of relied on more now as like our number 1 defenseman.
They don't shoot from the point. They trigger man the face-off dodge, do they not?
Yeah, or they just like give it to Tomer, and Tomer like passes and stuff. I mean, and then I'm gonna go Carter Hart. That's an easy one.
Yeah. How many wins does he have to get?
What is goalies 2 or is it 1?
It's 1 for a win, and then they get an extra 1 for a shutout.
Oh, okay. Well, he's a 73 overall right now, so.
Well, I mean, then he would need at least, 73? So to get to 90, 26?
Yeah.
Yeah, 26?
And some
I don't know,
maybe.
man. The Flyers going to win 35 games? Maybe.
I don't know.
He's going to be the starter in majority of them, but like.
They like that backup, though, too. So, yeah, I'm going to go him, and then I don't. Some of the guys like the Lino Marchesini or
no, those guys. No, the Europeans, like we have no idea because like.
I have no clue, and so I'll go Falk, I'll go Carter Hart, and then I guess I'll just go like Sandin.
Okay.
You
don't think Sandin will?
No, because
Sandin I think is the most usable right now.
Yeah,
which is interesting. They just I wish they would have given.
I guess I could say Sandin or Doughty. I don't know. I guess that's a bad pick, but yeah, that's. What do you think? Who's the locks?
Again, in terms of like getting to 99, I'm so like not confident. Like I don't know. It's funny because like like when they do like a Vegas like over under and like the line is like perfect, and you're like, God, like I really don't know. I feel like that's what a lot of these are. Like even Hurdle, like he has so much opportunity. He's done it before, but I would. If it was 24 goals and not 27, I would feel way better. But the fact that he's got to get 27, I don't know. It's.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Hurdle will. I think he's safe. Not to mention he's huge. It's not like Suzuki because if Suzuki doesn't get to 99, like he at the end game when everyone else is 99, like he's just gonna get tossed around. Even Bone Byram, it's the fact that the Colorado only runs 1 of the power play. I actually think Matty Beniers will get it. I think Matty Beniers will get 99, and then I will say, and I think Doughty will as well. I think Doughty's going to score in bunches. They can just score in bunches. So in terms of like not confident, Dawson Mercer's on the 3rd line right now.
Yeah, he struggled.
He's behind Meyer and Palat on the power play. So like. I don't know, like that one I feel like is just not safe at all. And one other thing I want to mention, Nick Robertson is blowing up. I'm pretty sure he just had a hat trick over the weekend. The problem is that if he scored or if he gets called up, he's screwed. There's no shot at 99.
Yeah,
if he stays in the AHL, and Fraser Minton's getting sent back. He does not look like he's ready for the NHL. So Nick Robertson's probably going to be up with the Leafs by November. And at that point, then his card becomes completely useless. But someone asked about Zegras. Zegras has a shot at it, too. He has all the opportunity in the world. I think that Zegras, like, I love the one button Michigan. I love it because, like, there is still a little bit of skill. When you play Division 1 and 2, it's much harder. Like the only way to score it is if someone is manually controlling their defenseman and they're pulling them way out of position. So it's very hard. I feel like in the lower divisions it sucks.
Yeah, I didn't hit a single one this weekend.
Yeah,
I tried it a few times just because I wanted to like let the guy know, hey, I can do it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But I didn't hit a single one. But I do want to get him this year just because I think it'd be fun to have.
When you do with him, it's nuts.
It's quick. I tried it in practice mode. He's quick. So go over to the prototype event. What'd you think of? I guess like the MSPs. Like what was your favorite one? I'm guessing Heisher.
Yeah, Heisher was definitely number one. It's funny because if you look through it the lens of like right now, they're so cheap in comparison to prior years because of the change to power collectibles. Because again, you can like rent them, right? Because you can refund them and get the whole thing back.
I like it.
Like right now, all of them are like viable and fun, but we never look through that like lens with events because it's like, yeah, but they're going to be useless in 3 weeks or whatever, right? So like Gudis, for example, if you don't have 3 or 2 more enforcer defensemen, and there just isn't a lot of enforcer defensemen, you get that extra 2 boost. Like Marty McSorley has enforcer defenseman. Then it's huge, but he's got 84 speed in like 3 weeks. Like you're just like in Division 1, you know what you're doing, or Division 1 or 2, and in your own zone, he's gonna be super helpful. But I feel like with truculence and 95 body checking, like that's just asking for penalties. And I remember Ben Ross telling me this might not still be the case. Discipline, actually matters. The lower your discipline, the more likely you are to get called for a penalty. So his discipline's down at 62. So every time that you hold down circle and go for a hit, like you're probably getting called.
Right.
So
yeah, I started doing that circle thing this weekend too. I didn't like really understand it.
You just let go right beforehand.
And I'm like, this is so broken.
Yeah. Once you get used to it, man, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, and then it's almost like I'm gonna get to the point where I'm gonna start probably doing that reverse. For anybody out there,
yeah, the reverse hit, man.
If you guys follow, there's 2 really good videos on NHL community Twitter this weekend. One was Nooch TV's goal and Hut champs against himself, or 2 goals. I've never seen. That's about as bad as it gets. He hasn't lost that bad since he lost to How to Chel on LAN when he scored from Narnia. Like that's about as bad as it gets. Go watch that one, Nooch TV, and the other one was Sap Alien or Sapsters, I think his name on Twitter. And he's just trucking everybody with back action with Jeremy Roenick because that button is about as broken as like the hip check.
When I first got my hands on the game back in like July.
Yep, you did. You called
it.
I
was just like, man, this is what's going to be absolutely broken. But the problem is that it's so annoying because when people keep doing it instead of like actually taking shots. So for anyone that doesn't know, if you click in the right stick, you'll do a reverse check. That's why when you go to like make a deke and whatnot, you'll click it in and it'll ruin your chance on a breakaway and things like that. However, no one's actually using it correctly. But Papa, so Papa goes on Twitch, which is a great watch, by the way. And we're definitely going to have him on. I was talking to him often. But anyways, him and Sap, they're like, and Junior Pens are like the first ones that are starting to like use it. And I know Papa was using it with a Gordie Howe, who's just impossible to knock off the puck. And I think he has back at you. Dude, it was comical. He's skating around the zone, and every time this guy goes to hit him, he just gets sent flying. And I think once people start to get a little bit better at it, it's going to be what we complain about most. But no one is using it. I haven't seen it used once.
I haven't even tried it either. Yeah. I'm kind of curious in doing it. I mean, it's the thing that I had the issue with it, and I actually tried it a little bit in a squad battles game. I was just like messing around. Like I noticed it. I had like Eichel and I did it. And the thing that bugs me with the hip check and the reverse hit is you don't even have to be like facing the person or even really like I can do hip checks with my guy's head. If he's doing the bend over animation, I can hip check somebody.
His whole body has the impact on. It's not like his ass end has the impact.
It's like a bubbles around him almost. Yeah. And that's what I have the issue with even the reverse hit. I did it with Eichel, and I had my back turned to the guy that I reverse hit, and I just like shoved this way. Yeah. And he went flying. I'm like, so that's where they need to like tune in the physics a little bit.
Yeah, you can tell that like it's very early in development, right?
Yes,
like it's very frustrating because even when you're holding down circle, there's times where like you let go of it and your guy will like do the huge hit animation the wrong way, and you're like, oh, okay, sick. But no, yeah, like that'll definitely be interesting. But anyway, sorry, we got off on a tangent there. But so Gudis is fun now. Will definitely not be usable soon. You'd have to pair him with someone that like Eichel or Makar. Heischer, I think, has the most longevity because of anyone that has quick draw has longevity. Please, man, there's so many people that don't think quick draw does anything.
Oh, it works.
I don't know. Like, it is the only thing I'm good at in the game. Like, the only thing I'm elite at is face-offs, and the second I have someone that I have a gold quick draw, like, I know no matter what, I'm gonna win the draw or a tie at least. Like, it's such an advantage. But he's also got like really good, like, decent skating, decent size. Like, I think that you could put him on your third or fourth line for forever. Like, you could have him in it's whatever, just set it and forget it. So that's why I think Heischer's probably the best. I've always hated Marner cards. Marner and Panarin, man, and Pettersson. They're just too light. They just get munched. Like, I don't know if it's like a Division 1 and 2 thing.
I agree.
But I've never had them good. And Marner's X factor has unstoppable force. So like his prototype card is like much worse in that aspect. And then the other ones were Taves is interesting because two-way defenseman is actually a really good synergy. And it's the defenseman ones you can activate, but the forward ones are just so hard to activate because they cost so much.
Interesting, too, that they gave Heischer. That's the first time I've ever seen them give gold stick 'em up to a forward.
Yeah, like, and that is interesting because like stick 'em up is because of hitting being so impactful. Like, I haven't,
Yeah.
No. I just haven't, like, that's the thing. Like, I always just hit. Brady Tkachuk is really fun too, but same thing with his skating. Like, he's just gonna get outpaced pretty quickly.
He's got the ogre stride too.
Yeah, dude. It looks like he's just lumbering down the ice, but they're all really fun right now, and because they're free, like, it's I think that you don't really need to worry. So, something that's becoming more and more of a thing is that Adam Foote is one of the Hut Champs cards.
Yeah, we gotta talk about the Hut Champs cards.
Yeah. So, but what people aren't realizing is like the new master sets, they're getting their gold ability at number 5. And some of the gold abilities aren't that great, and you don't need to go into 5 because they're not getting a skating increase either.
Right.
So like Adam Foote, for example, guys, it's going to cost you 10,000 coins, and then power up collectible at tier 3 and tier 4, and that'll get him to 85. And if you go to 86, he won't get any more skating, and he gets Ice Pack, which is just a useless gold ability. So you just keep him at 85. That makes him essentially cost you 5,000 coins because when you refund everything, you'd get everything back. And it's the same thing with a lot of these prototype cards. Heischer, no point in going to 86 if you're not going to use stick 'em up. I'm not, so. And the other one was Marner as well. You don't need to go to 86, so it's just something to keep in mind. But it definitely made him cheaper now. It'll be interesting when it's like January and like it's going to cost you like 12 power up collectibles to get a card up to like max. Because the power collectibles were so much more than event collectibles were, right?
No, I like I said, for me, for being a Hut Champs guy, like, I got 17 collects this weekend for getting 5th place. So it's like I was asking you earlier, like, what do I do with all of them? You're like, make foot and open packs.
It looks like the packs you can only open once, and I thought they were gonna let you do the power collectible 1-for-1 again as many times you want. I was like, this is broken. It would make anyone that could play.
Really?
Well, because last year that was the play. You would turn your power collectibles in, right? But you could only use power collectibles for your X factors.
Is there a cooldown then? Like, is that what you mean?
I'm assuming it's just everything that's in the Hut Champs sets is one a week.
Okay.
So you can do. I would always do, guys. Even if you're in Division 2, even if you don't play Champs, you get at the tier 3 reward. You get a free Hut Champs collectible. Make sure you're using it to get your power collectible once a week because those are the most important things in the game. But it looks like you can open. With 17, bro, you might legitimately be able to open up every pack, and get foot.
Yeah, I think it looks like Ultimate 6, 4 for the Ultimate pack.
That's
10, 13, 15,
you become close.
16, 17, 18. So I can do it because I have other ones. So I can literally open up every pack, and I can make foot because I have some other ones.
Yeah, but imagine how unfair it'd be for like Hut Champs guys, like anyone that plays Hut Champs, even if you got 5 a week. If you could get unlimited power of collectibles.
Oh, that's what I did all last year too.
So broken.
No, yeah, it's crazy. I agree. I think it's a good like step to go in for the like just not using the collects, I guess. It just seems so, I don't know, it just got tiresome, I think. Power-ups are a lot easier to get to this year, I feel like, too.
Yeah.
There's like different ways to get them.
Yeah.
Trying to think. There was something else I would ask you. Oh, gold abilities. And it was just abilities in general, whatever. I guess besides quick draw, because I agree with you on that. I mean, it's funny. The first year of X Factors, I used that Ryan O'Reilly, not because I'm a Blues fan, but because he was also 99 draws in like the beginning of the year and an 85 overall. It was one of those things too, where it's like all you do is get his base card, and he was in like one power up, and he had 99 draws, and he had gold quick draw, and he never lost a draw. I used him on the fourth line almost the whole year.
Yep.
Who so far? I guess besides quick draw, like which abilities do you like so far?
Elite Edges is the best right now in my opinion offensively, just because the meta seems to be, again, in Division 1 and 2 it's just played differently, but when you get in the corner, Elite Edges makes your player feel like you're on LAN. So the ability to just get away from people is so big, and big defensemen are their skating is so low early on that you have enough of an advantage even with smaller players. One of the best one, and I just don't have a lot of players with it yet, is Born Leader, man. I didn't realize, I don't know if this was changed this year or if it was in the game last year, but I never hit. Like, I would never hit. Like, I would average like 2 or 3 hits a game because in prior games, because stick checking was just better, or just being in position was better. Hitting usually just take you out of the game. But because you just hold down circle and let go, right? Like, hitting it, I probably average like 22 to 25 hits a game. Born Leader increases your stamina for everyone on your line with hits and block shots. Like, I didn't realize that little blurb was at the end of it. I thought it was just goals scored. And with the changes this year to endurance, something that I think is overlooked, endurance will not go up. So endurance is staying the same for every card. So even at 99, players are going to have 80 endurance. So it's always going to matter. And because you hit a lot, like it's just that one is just going to be one of the best all year, no matter what, unless you just simply still don't hit. But I think that's a mistake if you're on total control. Just learn how to use the circle button. Someone in chat was saying Seeing Eye. I remember last year, Seeing Eye was kind of like a niche thing with tip shots. You could just risk the shot. You can risk a puck in from the point upstairs if there's a screen. It freezes the goalie. I was playing a guy. It was one of my losses in champs. Wasn't very good, but literally just used the full pressure system the way it's like intended to be used. He literally just took shots from everywhere. And something that he was doing is he had Makar, the training camp Makar at the point, or whatever one that has Seeing Eye, and he would get it back to him, and he would just try and pick the corner the whole time. He scored like 3 goals with it, and I couldn't do anything about it. I was just like this. It was infuriating, but it was
that's kind of crazy.
It was a strategy. Like, I could tell that was every time, because when Makar wasn't on the ice, he wouldn't do that. And I was just like, all right, I'll give him, props, because that was, it's nuts.
Trying to manipulate the abilities, yeah.
It just freezes the goaltender. They just don't move.
So. Do you think it's worth upgrading guys like Heischer? Like, I have Adam Fox even on my team, which is weird for me because I'm usually like big guys, right? But he's like, his 82 headliner card, just like nothing even on him, is 90 and 89. Like, how many guys can you get an 82 overall for basically like, because like, that's another thing with the headliner collectibles. Like, I have extra headliner collectibles. I don't even know what to do with them. You know what I mean?
Because I already opened up. You can turn them into other event collectibles if you go into that set. But no, making that like the Fox one in week 2, a lot of people in the community said that he was really good. The only issue is like if you have Makar, it's like the same kind of guy. But Makar hits so hard. Like, I don't think you need a guy that has like 90 hitting and truculence this year.
Right. Do you think it's worth upgrading those guys though, like to an 85, like just like you
to
said,
an 85? Yeah, because you can always just get them back. Like,
right. That's
yeah. Like,
only
there's
5,
no,
you're only losing 5K, right?
In like 2 months, it's going to be tough because the master sets you're going to have to start investing, and you're going to lose the power. But right now, man, you can go to 85 on any card, and you can get everything back essentially, which is just such a that's a bonus right now. But there's going to come a point where you're going to lose power collectibles, and that's where you have to like. In my opinion, I think Kuznetsov was worth it. He's really one of the only ones.
Kuzi's awesome. I think
he's very big, and he has unstoppable force. Like, but truculence. I'm talking about truculence real quick. It lost a lot of its impact this year because no one shoves. So like when you use circle or B on skills on total control, you're not shoving. You're going for a hit. And the reason why truculence was so good, it was because all you had to do was spam up and do the shove checks. in prior games, and it would knock anyone that was bigger than you or had unstoppable force. It was just so easy. But in now, because no one's really using the flick up on, you're not shove checking. That's a lot of like, and when you go for a big hit, penalty, like you're just getting called. Like it's, so I don't know. I think silver truculence might actually be more beneficial because you don't get charging calls and stuff like that. But we'll see as the year goes along, because once big cards that get fast and have unstoppable force, you cannot knock them off the puck. I've even noticed with Kuznetsov, like I've tried to hit Kuznetsov with Makar, and to get even with a little run at him, and it's like a little force field, which is frustrating.
Yeah, that's I've noticed that too a few times actually with Makar. Now that you say that, I don't know, it's like a weird stage of the game still where you're trying to feel out, I guess, what's really good and really not worth it, just because the AP is so like crucial especially once you get like a better team. You really have to like be cognizant of what you're blowing your AP on, I guess.
Oh, for sure.
But I guess we'll wrap it up here since, we had Zazzi on in the beginning. But
yep.
Yeah, I guess if you guys have anything in the comments, throw them down below, and we'll try to answer
next. We'll get you next.
I usually browse them almost every week. So
Padre's combing them, fellas. Don't let him lie to you. Don't let him undersell it. He's combing them. I'll get screenshots of you guys talking shit.
But no, we'll be back again next week. Like we said, we're probably going to try to get a few guys on. Papa, Man Advantage, a few different guys, Burt Crown, you name it. We'll try to get some people on here, get some different opinions besides our same tiresome opinions probably. But we appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good, fellas. Have a good one.